Finder mods, Scavenger mods, exotic primaries, double special weapons, holding the correct weapon. There are a ton of ways to increase your heavy ammo drops, but just how much is this actually increasing your ammo by, and what's the most efficient way to go about spawning ammo without over limiting your build? I've tested everything, thrown it into a spreadsheet, and got some hard data to go over. There's a ton behind this video, and if you want to see the raw data for yourself, I've linked the spreadsheet in the description. There's also timestamps, so you can go to the part that matters most to you. Now let's get talking ammo. The main purpose of this video is to give you the data, but part of that is understanding how I tested. I'll try and keep this brief, but feel free to move past if you don't particularly care. I picked 4 loadouts to test. There's your typical legendary primary with a special weapon loadout, an exotic primary with a special weapon, and a double special weapon loadout. The legendary primary with a special weapon was tested twice, once with the primary out and once with the special weapon out. With the loadouts chosen, I found the base ammo rates by completing a lost sector 16 times with each one. I killed every enemy every time and counted the ammo on the floor afterwards. Base rates in hand, it was time to figure out how much each mod adds to your total ammo drops. I camped in a dark cave that many of you are way too familiar with and killed Thrall with each chosen weapon. Doing this for hundreds and hundreds of kills gave me the average kills per weapon type to spawn a finder brick. Afterwards, I picked up each brick to figure out the expected value of each one. I did this with a rocket and a machine gun to test both extremes of the ammo economy. Next up was Scavenger Mods. I just picked up more bricks with the mods to get the expected values of each one. Same weapons. After all my tests, I plugged everything into a nice spreadsheet and did some calculations of just how much every choice you make affects ammo. Again, this spreadsheet is in the description if you want to look at it. Now then, what does all this data tell us? First, let's look at base ammo rate. Double special weapons is substantially better than any other option. It took 15 kills on average to get 1 brick, whereas every other loadout is about 35 kills per brick. I'm not going to talk a lot about special ammo, but if you did want some, primary weapons are the best way to get it at 7 kills per brick instead of 35 kills you would get while using a special weapon. This pretty clearly shows how horrible it is to wield a special weapon with a primary stowed. If you have this kind of loadout and need ammo, make sure you have your primary out, because leaving your special weapon out is the worst of both worlds. It's also made clear that exotics have no effect on ammo at a base level. So now it was time to do heavy ammo finder mods. These mods state that exotic weapons make it better. Unfortunately, it isn't by much. When averaging the kills required per weapon, exotics take 16 kills compared to 17 for a legendary. That's a pretty useless increase, all things considered. What the mod doesn't tell you is just how horrible special weapons are with it. On average, it'll require 80 kills before you spawn a brick. I went as high as 107 kills one time before a brick spawned. If you main a special weapon, these mods are junk. They also don't work with ability kills, so that makes it useless as well. How much does this all add to our total ammo though? Like I said, I figured out the numbers for rockets and machine guns to get a good idea of what's going on. For the rocket loadouts, primary weapons were exceptional. 104% more ammo for a legendary primary, and 110 for an exotic. Over double the heavy ammo for just one mod sounds incredible at first, but we'll discuss this some more later. Then looking at special weapons, a sad 10% and 22% increase in our ammo for double and single special weapons. When we talk about machine guns, however, the numbers are much worse. We get 67%, 71%, 6%, and 14%. The primary weapons are still generating a substantial amount of ammo, but rockets just benefit so much more from finder mods than machine guns. Scavenger mods are similar in this regard. Rockets will gain about 50% more ammo compared to a sad 8% for machine guns. This is all due to how ammo is always rounded up to at least 1 for scavenger mods when you're using a rocket. Then if we put it all together, just using a single finder mod for now, we see some pretty huge increases for rockets. As high as 270% for exotics, 257% for legendary primaries, and we still don't see a special weapon breaking double ammo yet. as low as 69% for double special and 94% for a single special. All of this is when talking about rockets. Machine guns are still not benefiting much despite committing to 2 different mods: 84%, 89%, 15%, 24%. If you really want to see the benefit with machine guns, you need to use triple Finder mods. This is a lot to ask for, but you do see some fairly huge numbers finally. 232% for a legendary primary, 246 for an exotic. And of course, special weapons still don't benefit much here because they just can't spawn enough with finders. Now, if you want to talk about massive increases, we can look at rockets. 380% more ammo for triple finders, a scavenger mod, and an exotic primary. 361 for a legendary. This should paint just how little of a difference an exotic makes overall. Think of the boost more as a side benefit, rather than using an exotic specifically for the extra ammo. No need to point out how bad special weapons are. Still, even bigger still, you can get up to 6 times more ammo for simply hitting the like button. This won't affect your build in any way, so it's essentially like free ammo. Anyways, all these numbers are great, but are mods really worth using? Sure, you may be seeing all these big numbers and thinking how great it all seems, but the reality is it's just not worth it. Let me explain. First up, these mods have an opportunity cost. For every finder mod you're taking away an orb spawning or super generating mod. Scavengers take up the same spot as surge mods and effect on orb pickup mods. Keep this in mind when thinking about the other problems. The next reason, specifically for finder mods, is that you're essentially required to get kills with a primary weapon. Remember, special weapons spawn bricks on average every 80 kills, and ability kills will never count towards spawning a finder brick. Destiny is extremely heavy on the ability and special weapon side, especially in the more difficult content where ammo even matters. Every single time that you get a kill with anything that's not your primary, you're losing value from this mod, when you could just be using a different mod entirely. Lastly, if ammo was really a concern, then the easiest fix is simply to put 2 special weapons on. Remember, double special is already more than double the heavy ammo at base compared to everything else. With machine guns, double special is actually more ammo than an exotic primary using a finder and a scavenger mod. That's all without the requirement of weapon kills. Remember, finders don't work with abilities, and barely work with anything that's not a primary. If you're using a rocket where mods overtake double special, there's just no need. Anybody who has used double special can attest to the fact that you don't even need to think about heavy ammo anymore. In my 10 hours of farming Ghost of the Deep's final encounter, I only had 3 or 4 times where I wasn't on full ammo at the start of a damage phase. Typically, I even had war ammo on the floor that I could pick up in the middle of the damage phase. With all the weapon choices we have, it's incredibly easy to make a viable loadout from 2 specials. Dregs Rivals can just act like a primary weapon, especially if you throw on lead from gold. Wave frames are incredible at ad clear, and Riptide is just an absolute workhorse, which lets you handle all types of champions at all times without having to worry about a primary that is in the artifact each season. So yes, all of this testing and all of this data just to say double special weapons are better than everything else. But when I did a poll asking what type of loadout players use, only 33% of them said they use double special. There is merit to using a primary at times, but it's really worth your time to test out some loadouts without one. If you want to see everything for yourself and make the decision of what you think is worth using, I invite you to use my spreadsheet. If you like data-driven videos like this, I do too. And I did one where I fished for 10 hours. There, I figured out the rarity of each fish at each focus level, as well as what kind of loot you should expect. If that sounds interesting to you, well, it's on screen now. If not, until next time, see you out there.